Growth comes from realizing you were wrong, not right. If you were right about something you already knew, how would that help you grow? Okay. So you have to be willing to be objective and be willing to be wrong about things. And if you're not willing to be wrong and change your perspective when new information comes along, then you're going to be stuck in this perspective you're in, and you're going to be unable to grow in that area. That's what I see with tons and tons of people, especially doctors, especially traditional doctors, right? Who they buy into this whole dogma, medical dogma, and then they refuse to believe anything beyond it. And that stops them from growing as a practitioner. It stops them from being the best doctor that they can be. This is anything in life, you know? Once you accept that you know everything, you stop growing, right? So you have to realize that you are wrong sometimes as well. Because to me, the things that helped me heal myself and help others the most was realizing that a lot of the things that I thought were true were in fact wrong. So for example, I thought that everything was chronic gut infections and parasites and Lyme and things like that, when in fact it was often mold more often than anything. That was very tough for me to accept because I had put 10, 15 years into the theory that this was all chronic infection, gut related, that it all went back to the gut. And I had to basically change my whole paradigm about healing to be able to accept that mold could be something that could be more important than all those other things, or that mold could actually be the thing that causes all the gut issues, right? And that chronic unresolved gut issues can be linked to mold most of the time, right? These were things that were very hard for me to accept, and I refused to believe them for years until I was proven over and over again these things were true. You know, other things like I was unwilling to accept that things were all in my hands. They were not someone else's fault. I didn't have anyone else to blame, etc. It was all up to me. My happiness, my future, my goals, none of it. I was not a victim anymore, right? And I had to accept that. I had to be wrong. I had to realize that, hey, it was not my mom's fault. It was not my dad's fault. It was not the system's fault. It was not because the doctors gave me antibiotics and I got sick, blah, blah, blah. I had to realize I was the one that was going to construct my own life. I was no longer the victim. I had to be wrong. I had to be wrong. You have to be wrong to be able to learn, okay? You can't learn when you just realize something you already knew, okay? So be open to being wrong. Be open to being wrong. Look at what you're doing in your diet and say, hey, I must be doing something wrong if I'm still sick, right? Most of the time people think eating meat is a good idea, but you remove the meat, the dairy, the eggs, the gluten, the nuts and seeds, things like that you're eating every day, and guess what? You feel better, right? Be willing to believe that it could just be something in your diet rather than some medical condition, or there's something in the air rather than some medical condition. Be willing to be wrong, okay? If you're willing to be wrong, then you're going to be able to see the truth in front of you. But if you aren't willing to be wrong, then you're never going to see anything other than what you believe. And this is reality. Thanks for watching. Go to my website, endsickness.org. I have hundreds of articles and videos on there teaching you how to heal yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. Take care.